Council, good evening to the Winnebago tribal members and community. Thank you for joining us for tonight's mid-monthly meeting. I'd like to call us to order at 5:03 p.m. And I'd like to call upon Councilman Brown to say our evening prayer.
Thank you, Chairman Kajan, for this opportunity and this privilege. Heavenly Father, our Creator and our Savior, come to you today, this evening. Again, very thankful for all that you do for us, all that you give us. Heavenly Father, thank you for the prayers that have been blessed and answered for us. Heavenly Father, Creator and Savior, ask that you continue to bless us with good health, healing, love, and compassion, and courage, and give us good directions to walk Mother Earth that you've given us. Thank you for this day. Amen.
Thank you, Coley. Council, we have an agenda that was prepared, and we have some additions this evening. We heard that under new business, we're going to add to the front end of Veterans Housing Update from our WHDC team. And then secondly, due to the postponed Monday meeting, we're going to add our enrollment update and land resolutions after that. So we'll start with, under new business, we'll start with our Veterans Housing Update and enrollment update, and then 3, any land resolutions we need to do. And then we'll go into our items that are already listed under new business, and we will add an additional item for number 5, which would be the FY22 EPA ARP Air Quality Project. Number 6 will be the girls basketball match request. Under old business, we have, are there any further additions? Okay. Going down to tribal council items, we have an added addition, number 5. You received some materials from one of our students and basketball players. That request will be number 5. Are there any additional items? Is there a motion to approve?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
It would have been in the land meeting. Whole Trunk Farms would have done a presentation if we had. So we've added the land meeting. So Aaron Lapointe is here. So can we add Whole Trunk Farms presentation?
Sure. So that would be under number 3, the land update, or the land regular meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So then that would be number 4, I guess, preceding the land discussion. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Real quick, do we have an executive session?
We have, we haven't received any materials, but I did know that somebody wanted to come.
Okay, well, I'd like to have a executive session for discussion.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move it, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Kenny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Looks like we got 8-0-0. Thank you, Council. So our first item is the reading of the minutes. We have the March 7th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
I move it, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Kenny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. Our next set is the March 9th, 22 CEO report minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Coley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. Thank you. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. The last set of minutes are the March 11th, 22 General Council minutes, Secretary election discussion. Do we have a motion?
Motion approved.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Louis. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. We move on to the ratifications. Number 1, ratify adopting resolution 22-76 Terra Murfro home site lease.
So moved.
We have a motion by.
Second.
We have a motion by Rona, we have a second by Brian. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0. The next one, ratification, adopt resolution 22-7, expansion of the Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska Cemetery.
Motion to ratify.
We have a motion by Eric, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Rona.
Yes.
Rona got that second. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0. The next one, adopt resolution 22-78. American Indian Vocational Rehabilitation Services Grant FY22. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Louis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0. Adopt resolution 22-79 Winnebago Tribe FY22 Tribal Practices and Good Health and Wellness Program. Do we have a motion?
Make motion.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0. Last one, approve to assist MP with light bill for the amount of $657.79. Do we have a motion?
Motion to ratify.
We have a motion by Coley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Kenny. Discussion.
Discussion.
Rona.
Oh, I was just wondering, when this came through, I thought it was, I don't know if I read it wrong, the email's wrong or whatever, it was at the funeral, but, what happened to the request said paying rooms, and then all of a sudden we're paying the full bill? I don't know if I missed something.
Yeah, the request that the council had approved was, the request that we had seen by email was asking for rooms, but what had transpired was that the bill was taken care of. And just for the membership's information, we have had probably a handful of seniors over the past 6 months or so that the council has had to help out that had exhausted other resources, and we look at them on a case-by-case basis, and it's always difficult when we see these asks and we try to align them with the right resources. So Rona was on funeral leave cooking, so Rona wasn't available, and I wasn't able to tell her all that, but typically it's not the process that we would do these, but just to let everyone know that we try to do the best we can when they come in. So thank you, council. And when at all possible, we try to direct them to the program, but sometimes the need is here.
Okay.
So, but I totally understand, because we the email did ask for that, and we were able to accommodate it a little further. So I'll make sure I update you.
May I ask a question? Is the Sapp Brothers, are they awful strict on people with their gas bills?
The ones with propane, it sounds like
I mean propane, yeah.
it sounds like it is, because they won't even come out for only a certain amount, right? If it's not this much, they won't come. Do you guys?
Minimum.
Okay. Do you want to comment on that? Because I'm not.
I think the minimum's about $500. And you have to have at least a minimum in order for them to come out to your house.
You know, and I used to have them, and I experienced they were really, I don't say mean, but they were the only game in town, so they called the shots everywhere, even up to the point of where people, how much they paid for tank rentals. I switched over from them to this outfit called, I can't think of it right now. There's a new outfit. It's been around about a year or two out of up in Nebraska. I can't think, was not Sapp Brothers.
Butch?
Butch's.
Butches?
They're a lot more lenient, and they give you time to pay, and they're courteous about helping people out, and especially getting them their propane when they need it. I don't know if there's a way of recommending that those people that help pay the elderly bills would take a look at this company and see what they have to offer. Because Sapp Brothers, like I say, they were the only game in town. They called all the shots. Now I think there's Farrell and this new one in town. And I just think we could be better served by more competition. And I don't know if that has to be a motion from the table or who could enlighten these companies as to, you know, we're gonna support and push those companies that are favorable to our needs in this community. I just thought I'd point that out, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that recommendation and
Yeah.
also your awareness on some other vendors. Did you have something?
Yeah.
I think that'd be personal preference, because sometimes the gas companies, Butch's has been around for a few years, quite a few years now, and sometimes when you're in a dire emergency for a propane, you're gonna get what you pay for, and you might pay a little bit more. It might be they might have a little bit harsher terms, but they'll have the propane to you that same day. Where you go to another propane company, the one you prefer, or the one you usually use, they might have a longer list, and they might say, well, it's Friday evening or Saturday morning that you're gonna have to wait till Monday. Where you go to the one that you don't normally go to, that you kind of dislike because of the standards that they utilize. They have the availability, and so it's kind of, I think that would be up to the individual and at that time. And to take it to a tribal level, the council level, that's kind of, I don't know how that would go with the companies, because then we'd just be swinging them into pole position for business here, and then they'd really have control over us. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Well, it's the tribe's money, so, I mean, it's not a matter of them not being dealt fairly with.
Yeah, so that was my question for either one of you. So if somebody has a propane tank, they could say, I'm calling on either one of these vendors, or does somebody own the tank and you have to fill it by them? How does that work?
The latter is correct, Tori. Most of the vendors will only fill to their tanks.
All right, thanks. Lorelai has her hand up.
Madam Chair, is Isaac in the meeting? I can't see.
It was
Okay, so then
700.
all the votes are 700.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Any further comments on the motion?
I think we gotta send a message to the vendors that they gotta treat our people right. Treating them. We got loans that won't deliver to reservation. They want a tax. The state doesn't have the right to tax us. We have vendors that are cheating our people. We gotta make sure the vendors understand that we don't like it. And we gotta work out an arrangement that's advantageous to our tribal members. A lot of them get cheated and they don't say anything. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis, and all those that made a comment. I hear you. We could try to do some research, maybe make some phone calls and get some rates and just look at a comparison. And I think that might be helpful.
Yeah, I think so too, because like he said, you know, whoever that is, Sapp Brothers, a minimum of 500. Who has 500 at one point for a utility? Especially our elders.
That's even half a tank.
That's
250 gallons is half a tank,
Yeah.
because they come in the big 500-gallon tanks, big as this table, and so that's minimum. And that equals $500, that's what
I
had to
seen
pay.
I seen somebody put a Facebook post out, and they lived, somewhere out by the power grounds, and they were talking about what these guys are talking about, how much they have to come up with just for them to come, and that's the financial hardship. So
I think it might be worth looking into, see what, like he said, payment options. Butch's does that.
okay,
I mean, even if it is just, you have to deliver half a tank, but can you pay in increments instead of boom, be slapped with $500 at once, especially for elders that live out that way.
Okay, so, we'll put that down on our things to do, that we need to do research on our propane, rates, and if there's any type of like surcharge that they charge for coming this distance.
Yeah, don't think it would hurt to let the people down at Human Services in on what we've been discussing so that they can make rules according to what they're forced to do and what their options are.
Okay, sounds like a good discussion that we can follow up with.
I think a question we have to deal with is we can purchase natural gas from another reservation. And they have to transport it through the lines. Because it's a transaction between two sovereign entities. And we could set up our own plant to deliver gas.
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Louis. And you just reminded me, I don't know if you guys saw that email I forwarded you, obsessed with Red Lake. Well, there was a article that came out, and they're the first tribe that became the tribal energy company, or the tribal something. Did you see that, Rona?
Yeah.
And it was like a acronym, like T whatever. I'm like, that's where I want to be. That's what I think that we're already kind of starting to work on with some of these other water.
Electric, right? Wasn't it electric first?
I'm not sure. I just saw the announcement. I thought that was really cool, where I like to see us in the future. Okay, so we will do more research on the propane. Louis?
Moving Snakehead, Dr. Vinish and I looking into that, talking with tribes out west to make a transfer. And so he was ahead of his time. And it might be the right time to do it.
Okay.
Because we were looking for an energy source for the ethanol plant.
Well, that sounds like a really good suggestion. Would anybody like to take up researching propane rates in our area, as well as tribally designated energy entities? I just made that up. I don't know if it's the tribally designated something, but it's a tribal energy entity. So,
But the company the program that pays out that could check with someone that gets sparrows, someone that gets butches. So I could bring a receipt in. I could bring a receipt in and show you what Butch Brothers pays,
okay.
and it's a lot less than Sap Brothers.
Okay. So if
And
anybody,
my tank rent is I think 25 a year, where I think it's almost 150 a year. A year for Sap Brothers.
okay, we will. All right. Well, then I will work with folks on an individual basis on where I can find more information about this propane, and if more information on how we can work towards what Louis is talking about in that nation to nation commerce. So with that, is there any objection to the motion? Motion carried 7-0-0. Under new, okay, so now under new business, I'd like to invite Norma Steeler from our Winnebago Housing Development Commission, and to give an update on the veterans housing opportunity.
Hello.
Hi, Norma.
Hi. I have Randy Hess here. We understood that you had us on the agenda, but we just wanted to be at the front so that we could talk real shortly about the status of the project. So here's Randy.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Randy.
I'm Randy.
Do you guys have a camera? You
I,
can call? Oh, you called
is
in?
there
Okay.
what?
I don't know.
Oh, no, I didn't know you called in. I'm
I
sorry.
can't.
Okay. Randy, what, can you tell us what firm you're with and just, give the council general, background on the project you're working on?
The project is for the veterans housing at Thunderway. And there was a section that when the streets were originally installed before they built houses, there was a section, a horseshoe section, Longtail Court, I think is the name of it.
Yeah.
And we put the utilities in, but not the houses or the street. And now we're using those for veteran housing, 3 triplexes. And so we've designed that, and we're going to send it out to bid in probably the first part of April. The drawings are done, and we have a packet of drawings that we were going to show you, and then I have some 24 by 36 drawings to indicate the modern style triplexes, what they look like. And I guess I'm not on camera, so I can't show that to you. But I will leave that drawings for Norma at the Housing Authority, and they are in color, 2 of the front view and a side view to kind of give you an indication of what they look like. So it's a modern design, and it's it's a 3-plex, triplex, and the center unit is for handicap accessibility, and the end units are comparable. And then we use mini split systems for heating and cooling, and we use instantaneous water heaters for just on demand. And we have LED lights, so we're trying to cut down the monthly cost of living in these units. And we have different colors and styles of siding, and we think it's a lot different than what we've seen. So we're just trying to get you up to date that we're proceeding with the project, and it'll be out shortly, and we should have them built, the streets and buildings, before the end of the year.
Okay,
Any questions?
Yeah, this has been an ongoing subject for about 5 years now, that there's been a discussion that we were going to build veteran quarters of some sort that would be specifically for those that served our country.
Sure.
And lately it came back up because of some of the hardships our veterans have had, and it seems like the only time we talk about it is when someone's having a hardship, and we're just often didn't know the status of the project. And I was sharing with Rona that last week I had a HCCDC board meeting, and one of the things that they shared with the board of directors was that if construction was not underway by December, that we would have to pay all this money back. So can you guarantee that construction is going to be underway by December of this year?
Well, it should be within a couple months under construction. We have 3 buildings, and they should go pretty quick. So we think it's going to be completed by the end of the year.
So when will your drawings be finalized?
That's what we were showing you. They're almost completed now. We have to go through all the lines and the wording to make sure everything makes sense, and it's just a review, a quality review is all we have to do.
So when is the board scheduled to approve these plans?
Well, they've approved the preliminary plans some time ago, and we met today to see what the update was, and as soon as we get this finished, they'll be advertised to bid.
How long will the advertisement be?
1st of April, we think.
No, how long do you guys advertise them for?
Usually 20 days, 21 days, 3 weeks.
Are there contractors that you guys are going to invite to apply? Or I guess I'm just wondering where's our gap? Where's our delay? What do we need to do to fast track this?
Well, the last project we bid last year for Rainbow, we had to bid it twice because we only had one contractor that submitted bids, and we thought we had 2 or 3 looking at the plans. But this project is smaller, and we're going to advertise more, see if we can get more contractors.
Are
to bid.
these stick build or modular?
Stick build.
These are stick built.
So would it make more sense to order modulars and get them set down here quicker?
These are slab on grade, and we'd have to go through a different design to do modular buildings.
I guess I just don't
And the
understand.
type of buildings that they are, we were asked to do a new modern design, which we had done, and they're too tall to be modular, built in a factory and shipped down the highway. So we'd have to start over.
Yeah, well, I guess I would hate for you to start over, but the Ho Chunk Inc. owns a modular home company, and I just don't know why we weren't thinking of our own resources to fast track this project, and that now we're at the final year, and weather could be an issue.
Weather and materials,
Yeah.
and sinks and everything is tight.
Does the council have any questions on this?
So once you select a contractor, what's the time frame that you expect them to be completed?
Well, we think in 4 months, 4 to 5 months on the housing units. Then we'll bid the paving and water lines also at the same time. So they'll be coordinating the work in the 2 areas. So it shouldn't take too long. I don't know how long it took to finish the concrete paving on Thunderway, 2 years ago?
Hey, Randy, when did the board engage with you? Because I just need to figure out where we need to put the pressure on.
I'm not quite sure I understand.
When did they solicit your services?
Oh, this was a 2019 project, so the design was started late 2019, I believe, and then COVID hit, and the Indian reservations pretty much shut down. We were working on 3 different reservations, and
Sir, our reservation
they
never
all had
shut
different
down.
requirements.
Well, the Winnebago reservation never shut down, sir.
Okay. Other ones did that we're working on. And we were working on Rainbow at that time also. I don't know. We're in the process of getting this out to bid now. And that's what we were expecting to do. So we're almost out to bid, about to ready to advertise.
So would it be fair to say that the delay was your office? I guess I just really need to figure this out because we're about to lose this money and we've had it for 5 years.
Well, we don't think you're about to lose the money.
Sir,
Uh,
we're aware of the funding source, and if we don't spend this money by the end of this year, we in fact have to give it back. And HCCDC will have to pay back their administrative portion. So I'm just very serious about where are our gaps.
I don't know.
Okay, so I'll come on.
I don't, because we're almost there, and we shut down, not, and in that respect from planning, that didn't seem to be going well, and it just did. And so we're trying to catch up now, and we think we have got it made, but we can't prove it right now. In 2 more weeks, how about if we sit and talk and if you can't see that we're doing it, then I don't know what you're going to do. But you're going to have to trust that we will get that started in the 2 weeks.
We're going to make every effort to get more than one contractor to bid.
Well, we thank you so much. We definitely appreciate your commitments and your progress. Eric has a comment.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You know, time is of the essence here. The time is running out. The deadline's approaching us. In the past few years, we've lost more veterans in our community looking for a home. They died with homelessness, died in a place where there was assisted living. And these were veterans that were trying to come home. So time is of the essence. And,
Sure.
you know, you're talking about 2 weeks. We don't want to hear anything about pushing the buck to planning or trusting. We're not getting paid for that. And so with that said, sir, put a little expedience into this operation so we can be rest assured. So we can be rest assured that we're not going to come up short on building the time frame. You know, and most importantly to our veterans that are trying to come home, that are homeless right now. So with that said,
I understand.
You know,
I'm a veteran also, and I understand the importance of housing for veterans.
So with that then said, then sir, you know the expediency in this operation, and so with that, I look forward to seeing you sometime soon, either on camera or in person. That way we can get this more straightened out. Have a visual of who we're talking to. I
Sure.
would greatly appreciate that.
Oh, okay. We were hoping to be there this evening, but it just didn't work out apparently.
I see. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Just to recap, and Eric, who's our combat veteran councilman, a few weeks ago had brought to our attention that there had been some veterans that had passed away and had been living at a facility near the reservation, and that at that facility they had both been expired longer than we would have liked them to be there waiting to be discovered, and that we felt really sad and bad that those two veterans weren't able to find, I guess, a place in Winnebago. And so it's always things like that light the fire amongst the table, and that we say,
Sure.
okay, where are we at with that? So thank you to Norma and her entire team that have shepherded this project along, as well as Randy, who has been the technical assistance. And we just really would appreciate you guys' attention so that we don't have to hear more sad stories. When we have things in motion, they just they weren't timely for these gentlemen. So that's where this is all coming from, and I just want you to know that it's coming from a good place, and it's coming from a place of sadness. So we want to
Sure.
do better for our veterans. We've also started a veteran services office. Our commander, Gordon Rave, is ahead of that, and so we're really trying to do better for our veterans, and I hope the membership please excuses us as we try to keep these things moving along.
Good. That's why I'm here today, to help you guys see where we're at. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to make a comment, or Norma, would you like to identify a date that we touch base again?
Yeah, I'd like to set up, just a brief, progress report on the 1st of the month and on the 2nd of the month.
Okay, that sounds
So-
great.
That's just 2 days, that we'd like to touch base with you.
I really appreciate that, and I'll circle back with Teresa to get that scheduled.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a comment.
Louis.
I made the motion to look into this, Cody and I. Not just blaming anyone, but put the fire under everyone's feet and we get to moving. When I first heard about what Isaac said when he went to visit that plant in Minnesota, he said a double wide unit with two housing sections in it would cost $750,000. That seems way out of line. But that's what our own company was telling us. We're talking about 3 units that don't cost $750,000. And the question of going modular, they showed that they quoted a price of modular that was way out of line for us to pay. We got a problem that we need to look at. Is that companies bidding and get the lower bid and Tribe matches it, they don't come back with a bid. It's becoming counterproductive for us. So we have to think that through and make sure that we get units going through that company in Minnesota. But there's problems in the housing industry. You got to face that fact. So we're kind of in between a rock and a hard place. And we're trying to meet those deadlines, and I think we can. And we have to push for it. Everyone has to push for it. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis, for looking into those modulars, and yeah, I've heard many discussions about how's stick versus modular, and even I was thinking while you were talking, I was thinking of the buying power of maybe some of the contractors versus some of these other larger purchasers, and so all timing. So stay tuned, and we'll get that scheduled and more information to come. So thank you, Norma, and thank you to
Okay.
Randy.
You bet. Thank you.
We'll now move into the second part of our advanced discussions. Do we have enrollment with us? I noticed.
Yep, this
Hi-
is Ramona
hi,
here.
Hi, Ramona.
Good evening.
Thank you for sending your report earlier today. Would you like to provide any updates before we open it up for questions?
Well, the only updates is that we're getting these done. We only got about, my 68 left, but we're into September now. So then, let's see. We're also sending out acknowledgement letters. Soon as we get the applications, we send those out, and that will help cut down on people, calling and wondering where their status is, and also the dual checks are coming back faster now from other tribes, so I think a lot of them are opening. Misty's, she just recently got back and she's requesting a meeting with the BIA, and it's concerning that financial benefit part in dealing with the land allotment. We have a lot of questions on that too, because some of them are gifted, some are inherited, and so do these count as financial benefits? Things like that. Let's see, we currently have 2 more family blood quantum issues to address. She's also going to start up the Facebook page here. Ariana was supposed to do that, but Misty, I guess she already started that process along with the Ancestry.com. I believe that was it for the updates.
I got one question. Lorelai's got a question.
I just wanted to tell Ramona that we asked our general counsel to give us the written legal opinion of the verbiage in the Constitution about financial benefits, so they can't be enrolled. So we're supposed to get that this week in our CEO report, which as soon as we get it, we're gonna get it out to the whole tribe.
Oh, okay.
There's a different way that people read it, and so we wanted a written legal opinion, so then all of us will be clear moving forward.
Okay, good. That sounds good.
Thanks, Lorelai. Ramona, when is your meeting scheduled with the BIA?
We haven't set it up. She just reached out to him today.
Okay.
Because we have other applicants that are having this issue now, from relinquishing. So, they're asking that too. Well, can I be enrolled because I get land from, another tribe here already that I was gifted? So does that mean it's a financial benefit? So we're having questions like that, and we don't really know the answers to. So
Okay.
hopefully that meeting that Lorelai's talking about can clear that up.
Yeah, my recommendation, the reason I was asking was, my recommendation was for you to take general counsel with you. But if we're going to get the legal opinion, you might want to hang out and save your program some money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions, comments, Rona?
Oh, no, that was one of the questions that I got recently was, well, what about land? What if I owned land on that reservation over there? Is that a benefit? And I said, well, the way the Constitution reads and the way I understand it, yeah, that is a benefit if you own land on a different reservation because you receive that lease money. So they said, well, I'll look into it. And I'm like, but why would you want to leave where you're enrolled at? You're already enrolled, you're recognized, and you have land. I don't understand it to disenroll from some place that you've been in all your life and then be enrolled here. But your whole chunk in your heart.
Thanks, Rona.
I would add to that to say that it's terrible that it comes down to that land ownership, but when it comes down to the financials of lease money, and depending on what size of land it is or what it's being used for, that it has to be considered a financial asset. And so Yeah, that's terrible. And like I said, you're a whole chunk at heart, and why would you want to leave your a place where you're already enrolled? You have land. It just it's not jiving. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Coley.
Thank you. I think that is something we need to find out. We should find out from the people we serve how they want it to be, what we should be doing. And I myself, I could see that being changed in the Constitution. What we're talking about, changing things again, and the stories that we see and hear are true or not true, and it's kind of our fault for bringing all this work on enrollment, and I apologize for that. You guys are doing a great job, coming to work and doing what you can. Thank you guys, but I think we could change. That's what we need to change to benefit our people's children. If that's what we need to change in a secretary election, if I'm correct, is that process. If the financials, land, and so are people who want to come home, who want to be a certified Winnebago, Nebraska whole chunk. Always remember, we're always here to serve these people. It's not what we want. It's not what we think is right for them. We need to know what they want. Thank you.
Thanks, Coley.
There's a question of this money coming to, when you get money from other tribes, it might be through probate. And you don't know what you're going to get. And if you get money that comes off the gas and oil, there's no tax on it. It's non-taxable income. It's hard to. And we have so many tribes that are intermarried, that we have a lot of people that are a dozen tribes when they get down to those small percentages. And it's not their fault that they got that money. The tribe didn't pay them. You got that through the probate system. And it would be unfair to deny them the right to be in Winnebago. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis, for that comment. And I just want to make a little background comment for the members that are listening. Recently, we've had some enrollment applicants that the enrollment committee has been looking at and calling on tribal council and legal advice for some of the language and its interpretation from the Constitution. And there's language in our Constitution that says if you were in receipt of a financial benefit, then you're not eligible for enrollment. And the discussion has much been centered around one, what is the definition of a financial benefit? And the next kind of question that came up was our general counsel had shared with us that that portion of the Constitution applies to the original base roll allotment recipients, and that receipt of financial benefit refers to that allotment. So as we sort through that, it's going to be helpful to the enrollment committee's understanding, the tribal council's understanding, and most importantly, the families that are trying to get their kids enrolled, how that applies to them. So we're still working through that and hoping that it's the best outcome for our families. So, any more? Oh, okay. So with that, Ramona, thank you for starting those innovative ideas you guys have. One, sending out that acknowledgement letter, that seems like it's going to really be helpful. But my follow-up question was, and you sort of answered it with that letter, when a person reaches out to tribal council by phone call or Facebook message at the store and says, hey, could you help me find out where my application's at, and I put it in a long time ago, and you know, just the variety of things that they're trying to accomplish, and why they want to know. You mentioned the Facebook page. Would it be allowable, or if there was some way that on that Facebook page, based on that application number, there could be a running list, like application 1102 through 1167 are going to be looked at the X day meeting, and then the next week you could say we got only to 24 tonight. So I guess I want to give people a running idea of like where they're at in the list, so that we can be responsive to them and look at that list for them, or that they don't call and it's not such a hardship trying to vet those phone calls and find the answer. Have you guys talked about that at all?
We haven't really have a meeting about that, but that's a good idea. I think Misty has a lot of good ideas on the Facebook, and that's probably one of them there. Because we can use the application numbers, like you're saying. You know, we can give them that. At least they'll have that in the acknowledgement letter, even that this is your application number. You know, it isn't the actual enrollment number or anybody's name, because we can't be putting that out there. But yeah, that sounds like a good idea to add to.
Just throwing it out there because very often, I think people reach out to us and they have a perception that because we're council that we have access to their applications, or maybe that you'll be able to, you know, drop everything and give us an answer. And I just don't think that's a respectful way for us to reach out to your office. So I was just trying to think of other ways we could get the information out there.
Yeah, we're gonna have a meeting on it, on that Facebook part, so we can definitely put that in there. It's a good idea. But and other ideas, if anybody has any other ideas on how to reach out with them. But we're doing pretty good right now, getting the phone calls in, and people are pretty satisfied with that too.
Thank you very much. Did anybody have any questions or feedback for enrollment? Okay. Thank you, Ramona.
Yeah, thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Fanny Latre, our Land Management Director, to the discussion.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep. How you doing, Fanny?
Good.
So ready to go through?
Okay, so we have a cancellation resolution for the home site of Winona Cox area. The resolution was 20-29. She is deceased.
Do we have a motion to cancel resolution, or excuse me, to cancel home site lease for Ramona Cox? We have a motion by Rona. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Louie. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. The next action, will that be to put it in the daughter's name? Is that
Yes,
okay?
that's the second home site resolution.
Do
Georgine Earth.
do we have a motion to adopt? So the number would be 80 then? Let's see. So what's our last number? 80? Would that be resolution 80? Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 22-80, home site lease for Georgine?
Move it, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Kenny. Do we have a second? Second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Thank you, council. Any other items, Fanny?
It was just a presentation from Aaron.
Okay. Anything anybody would like to ask Fanny before we move on to Tribal Farm or the Ho-Chunk Farms? Okay, well, thank you, Fanny, for bringing those resolutions forward, and now I'll invite Aaron Lapointe with Ho-Chunk Farms to present.
Thank you.
I just need the ability to share my screen.
Yep, we can see you. Not your screen yet, we can see you.
Can you see my screen now?
Yep, we can see you. We can see you, but not your computer screen yet. Okay, your screen popped up.
And you can see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Alrighty. This shouldn't take very long. It wasn't meant to be at the mid-monthly meeting, so I'll try and fly through it. After we closed out the year in 2021 and I reported to the board, a lot of the information that was shared with them, our executive team thought I should share it with our tribal council as well, just to kind of keep you guys informed. And some of this information is good information if you don't know a lot about what Ho-Chunk Farms does either. I wanted to make it kind of broad. But Kenny and geez, who else is on our board? Rona. Yeah, Kenny and Rona have already heard a lot of this information, so kind of a refresher for you, but I wanted to keep the rest of the tribal council up to date on what we're doing. And it's kind of cool that the membership's on too, because they can see what we're doing as well. But this is the agenda for the presentation. I'm going to go over the policy structure, our operations structure, our current land base, and then the 2021 effect on tribal land returns. Kind of some good information, but this is just to introduce Ho-Chunk Farms. For anybody that don't know, we were developed in 2012 to leverage tribal sovereignty to increase land rents through developing our own policy. This policy has helped increase land returns by millions of dollars since inception. But we also are heavily involved in food sovereignty initiatives, and we continue to support our local growers in whatever it is. And this is the vision statement from our company. Our vision is to become a revenue machine utilizing tribal lands, land acquisitions, and any non-traditional farming opportunities to create long-term sustainable income for Ho-Chunk Inc. and the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, and also bring sustainable food systems to the Winnebago tribe and its membership. So I wanted to touch base on the policy structure. I know that I met with you guys, it would have been a couple of months ago, to help kind of revise it. And I wanted to go over it just because I don't think a lot of people understand our role in that. So through the tribe's agricultural land lease policy and procedures, it allows us, Ho-Chunk Farms, which is a wholly owned tribal company, to match any high bid through the BIA or through the tribal land management. And this allows Ho-Chunk Farms to be a credible source to make farmers pay fair market value. Before, there was no tribal entity there to kind of hold them accountable, saying, hey, we think you should pay more. Or, farmers could be talking to each other, whatever that be. Ho-Chunk Farms' goal was really just to kind of be that entity that will hold them accountable. And like I said earlier in the presentation, through this policy, we've been able to increase land values dramatically, just by being a player in the game, just by being a part of the conversation. Not the most well-liked guy, but I can live with it. One thing that a lot of people aren't sure of with Ho-Chunk Farms either is our operational structure. Just because we don't do 100% of our operations, which is our goal one day, but it's really expensive. So I wanted to kind of go over it a little bit. Currently, Ho-Chunk Farms has 4 operations contractors that do portions of the operation within different areas. I put by location because we farm all the way from Wakefield to behind the casino. It's not feasible to have one contractor do all of that. That's a lot of traveling. So we have a contractor that does a lot of our stuff by Wakefield. We have a contractor that does stuff by Winnebago. We have a guy that does everything in Iowa. And we have another guy that does Big Bear for us because of the access. So through that, a lot of our contractors, we pay them on a per acre basis for each type of operation. Some of our contractors do 80% of the work on the farm. Some of them only do 50. So it kind of depends, just because Ho-Chunk Farms is slowly starting to do more. But each year, these contractors are submitting bids to me. And I've been getting bids from new contractors just to kind of help keep them honest on their rates and help with negotiations, to make Ho-Chunk Farms in a position to be profitable. And so this year in 2022, Ho-Chunk Farms will perform around 35% of their operation. One of the big things is planting through the ARPA funds received by the tribe, which I'm extremely thankful for, and you guys have accelerated Ho-Chunk Farms dramatically, and it's really going to help us elevate to the next level of being self-operational. But we're planting, we're doing all of our own hay harvesting, we're cultivating, we're buying a huge cultivator this year. That's for our organic farming. A majority of our work is hauling grain. We have 3 semis and trailers that are pretty much constantly moving. We have our own disc and tractor now too, so we do a lot of our own field preparation. And in the later of this year, in third quarter, we plan on acquiring an auger wagon to really start to get the understanding of how harvest works. This guy in this picture right here is running an auger wagon, so understanding how that all flows together to be as efficient as you can be as an operation in farming, because timing is of the essence within farming too, of getting our crops out. So, but it's really, we have tribal members working for us that have never farmed before, so it's learning, but it's also taking back the ability to farm our own land. And we're getting there. When I first started in 2016, we did 0%. So every year we chip a little bit off, but all the equipment we have, we probably spent 1.5 to 1.6 million, and that's only 35% of what we do. And that's the cheap stuff. I wanted to go over the 2022 acre base for Ho-Chunk Farms. Not a lot of change. That's why I kind of wanted to bring it up. Since I did this chart, there's been a little bit of a change. We're at about 6,200 acres. We're actually going to farm the ground where the casino's going in South Sioux. So that number got a little bit bigger, but it shows our variety. We have conventional crops. We've transitioned acres into organic, and then we already have certified organic. So we're getting pretty close to 1,000 acres of organic, which is probably one of the largest organic farmers in our area. And our conventional acres continue to grow. But these graphs here, they also show who owns the farm ground that we farm. So as you can see, 50% of the ground that we rent is wholly owned by the tribe. That's your tribal land management that's overseeing that. And then the other 32% is the allotment land, which you guys probably have ownership in some of that as well. But any of the money that goes into your PL account, that's where the allotment land that you guys have portions of. So really, it's probably a lot higher number than that. We do rent a little bit from a non-native. You guys probably know Bryce Anderson. We rent a little bit from him. It helps us develop a relationship with him so that one day when he's ready to move on, we can be there to acquire it, whether it's the tribe or whether it's Ho-Chunk Farms. But as we all know, we're trying to work out a deal to get the tribe to purchase it right now. And then the little bit of ground that we bought, the 372 acres, is on there as well. And then it also shows the money that was paid out in 2022, which you guys would have received on March 1st. $974,000 going to the tribe for their wholly owned ground, $456,000 going out to the membership. All the people that have interest in allotments, there's a pretty good chance that we might be farming that ground. So that's how much money went out on March 1st to all the landowners. So our numbers continue to get bigger, and we're at pretty high averages of what we pay for rent on farmland. And then this is the last topic here, the 2021 Ho-Chunk Farms effect on tribal revenue. And I thought this was a unique experience this year. Ho-Chunk Farms reached profitability for the first time since inception. So it was a lot of numbers that we got to look at and kind of really realize our effect that we're having. So I wanted to share that that Ho-Chunk Farms' profitability, it really is going to pay back to the tribe. So when we closed 2021, Ho-Chunk Farms had an operating profit of $661,000. Through the dividend agreement, you guys get 25% of that. So of however much you guys get in 2021 from us, 165,000 of that came from Ho-Chunk Farms. And I wanted to break that down because all of that money was made off of tribal lands with the tribal entity. So I ran the numbers of what value do we add to to the tribe by being a tribally owned entity that's going to not only pay their rent, but then give you a little bit more if we make money. Which I put on there, we bring an upside to the land returns that no other farmer will. All the other farmers that made this much money, that money's in their bank accounts, and none of it's coming back to you until the next year when they rent. But this really shows the value that Ho-Chunk Farms brings when we get to occupy the leases. I did a little bit of a analysis. So we our average rent that we pay on tribal land is $285 an acre. But if you broke down that $165,000 of the dividend that we're going to pay to you, that's $48 an acre of what we farm of your land. So really the return on the acres that we are farming for you guys, you're getting about $333 per acre that we get to add on to it, that you guys will see this year on top of the rents that we pay. And I'm a numbers geek, so I even threw in, if you give the land a value of $6,000 an acre, we increased your land lease returns from getting 4.75% return on your land to 5.56. Not a huge jump, but that accounts for $165,000 that you're not going to get back from any other farmer. And that's it. It was really short, brief, to the point, and just some numbers I wanted to share with you guys. I didn't get a chance to send this out to you guys before the presentation, so I'll send this out to the tribal council so you guys can have it as materials as well. And if you guys ever have any questions about Ho-Chunk Farms, my office is at HCI Corporate. I'm always available for any questions or anything that you guys need to know.
Thank you, Aaron. Aaron, Kenny has a comment.
Aaron, your program's going to be a game changer here in the near future, I think.
I believe so too.
Lorelei.
Aaron, have we thought any about producing hemp in our crops?
We're currently in the process of that. The tribe has developed a hemp commission, and I know that they're working on getting the ability to issue licenses. As soon as the tribe's hemp commission is ready to issue those licenses, we'll be there ready to give it a shot again. We did it in 2019 outdoors. I think our plan moving forward is to move indoors because of cross-pollination issues that we had in 2019. But we definitely want to move into the game. I think the grains and fiber is going to be a huge deal for us to be able to rotate our organic crops and to really find ways to add value to our operation and diversify our crops.
Linnell, can you give us an update, since you're on the hemp commission, about licensing producers on the reservation? Where are you with that, with the hemp commission?
Hello. Right now, we haven't even made it that far. We are still trying to really fully establish the commission yet, now that we're a full commission as of January. I can have a better update. I believe we have a hemp commission meeting scheduled for I believe it's next week. I can have a better update on our progress after that meeting. Sorry, I don't have a better update. I apologize.
No. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorelei. Thanks, Linnell. Any further comments for Aaron? Coley.
Aaron.
Yep.
Your organic crop, is that tested yearly?
Yeah, it depends on the inspector. The inspectors typically do. They'll come test our hay, they'll come test our corn, and then the people that we sell to, they're in Celsu, where Cargill used to be in Celsu. That's where we take our organic grains. They'll test it on site too. So everything has to be tested through the licensing process and during harvest as well, because we get a premium price on that.
Okay, I have more questions later. Thanks.
Thanks, Aaron, and thank you,
Aaron.
Hans. Louis.
I saw your acceptance into Harvard.
Yeah.
I was proud of you. You're fulfilling your father's dreams You do it for the tribe. We benefit from your knowledge, and your drive, your determination. It makes it a stronger tribe. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Louis.
Um, Louis just now just congratulated him. So I'm gonna share. Well, do you mind, Aaron, if we share that good news with the membership?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You can make your
It's out
announcement.
there.
We're really proud and happy to congratulate Aaron on a new endeavor he's taking up, and all these things that we're building our capacity as tribal members and entities. It's all for the future of the Winnebago tribe. So thank you, Aaron, for doing that, and I'll let you introduce your opportunity that you got.
Yep. No, I just got accepted into a executive program through Harvard, NFOA, and NCAI. They host about 60 students at Harvard for a week to get the certification. But from my knowledge, it's pretty prestige, so I'm pretty excited to even have the opportunity. But I'm hoping to go gain knowledge and bring it all back and continue to help our tribe grow, expand, and thrive.
Excellent. Thanks, Aaron. Okay.
Did I stop sharing my screen? I'm not even sure. I'm not good with.
It stopped. Yep. So any closing comments for Aaron before we move on? All right. Well, good job, Aaron. Keep up the good work, and as well of our land department, Fanny. So we are ready to move on into our first presentation of new business, and that would be the Winnebago Public School Academy students, and they are joined this evening with a request and a presentation. So do we have our students with us? You guys might be on mute. We can't hear you.
Would it be possible to share my screen?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Jamie Pixler. I'm the lead teacher for the Winnebago Public Schools Academy. We're here to request financial assistance for our upcoming trips. Trips have been on hold for the 2020 and 2021 school years, obviously due to COVID. We didn't feel it safe at the time to have students travel, and I know that there was a travel restriction here from the tribe as well. With the numbers declining, we felt that we were much more comfortable traveling this year, and our school board approved to allow the trips to continue this year. Part of the reason that we felt so comfortable is because all of our students and chaperones attending these trips this year are fully vaccinated. So we're here to request gift cards for supplies that we need for the trips that we're going on this year. We also wanted to say thank you. In the past, you've authorized gift card donations. In 2019, there were 35 cards for $200 a piece. In 2020, we were approved for 37 cards for $200 a piece, but then shortly after approval, the cards were no longer necessary because we canceled the trip. Some of the things that they do purchase with these are suitcases. Sometimes they need new shoes because it's been a while since the school year began and they got new shoes. Extra clothes, especially the dress clothes. And a lot of these funds help the families afford the items the kids need. Amaya was going to talk to you about some of the things that she's going to be doing in New York. She's one of the, Isaiah. He's one of the students that will be traveling to New York this year.
The Travel to New York benefits students, and the Travel to New York offers students the following benefits. Tour the United Nations and learn more about international organizations that work to resolve worldwide conflicts.
Excuse me, sir.
Develop.
Sir, could you introduce yourselves? We'd love to meet you and hear a little bit about you. Can we meet your students before we go on?
Right, my name is Isaiah Bang. I'm an educator in the academy here.
Welcome.
My name is Ariella Zuniga. I'm also in the 9th grade academy. I'm Amaya Whitewing, also a 9th grade academy student. My name is Bree Dogo. I'm a sophomore.
Well, thank you so much for those introductions. We're really happy that you're here this evening, and please continue with your presentation.
The travel to New York offers students the benefits of touring the United Nations, develop strong relationships and bonds from the experiences, and have the opportunity to see a large city with different cultures, and to access museums and theater experiences. And we also get to visit the Native American History Museum.
The California trip is the other trip that they're going on. With this trip, they it's kind of a cultural exchange program with the Saboba band of Luiseño Indians. And they go to the tribal school and attend school for the day with those students, and they work with their culture program to learn more about the Saboba culture. They meet with the tribal elders and have a chance to ask questions and kind of experience more of their lifestyle. They hike through the canyons and explore historical areas of significance to the Agua Caliente tribe. They go through Spanish missions. Some of them, this is the first time that they'll be seeing the ocean. They get to go to various museums, and then they also watch the Ramona pageant, which is an outdoor play that talks about a native girl that lives in Boba.
The class communities communicates a lot more on the trip. Gives you one way to one another and for you better bond with the
Some of the things that we need, and some of the reason that we're asking for this, a lot of these things, some of the students have. The biggest request is some of them do not have a suitcase. So some of the suitcases, but the dress codes are also kind of a big thing. They go to plays, and they go to, I know in New York City, they're going to Broadway. And we do ask that they dress up for those occasions because it is in fitting with the occasion that they're attending. So a lot of times they don't have dress shoes that fit, or nice dress clothes and things. So that's what we kind of look at. But this is a list of things that they would need for their trip. Everybody just makes it larger than it.
Can you go back to the last slide? Oh, I just wanted to see.
How about that? Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Our request is we have 13 students traveling to California, and then 22 students traveling to New York. The Winnebago Public School pays all expenses for these trips, funds, our food, air forces, transportation, hotels, tickets, etc. We do fundraisers to help pay for the trip, raffles, concessions, dinners, the corn project, and then even more. What we are asking for is a total of 35 cards of 200 each, one for each person. Total funds are requesting at least 7,000 in gift cards by March 28th. So in time, we will have, so we have time to buy what we need.
Goodness sake. Every time.
There is some technical difficulties.
Well, thank you for the presentation. Council, do you have any questions?
I have one question. I'd like to know. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, hold on.
I'd like to know how you go about deciding which cities you'll go to visit.
A lot of that has to do with, we have themes in the academy each year. One of the themes one of their first years in high school is learning about how the world works together to solve problems. And so the reason we picked New York for that is because the big highlight there is they go to the United Nations to learn more about how the international body works to solve problems, especially right now with everything going on in Russia and Ukraine. We've been talking a lot about the United Nations and looking at a lot of their policies and things. And so it's really relevant for that. Plus, New York City has a wide variety of cultures that you can go and explore a little bit more. So that's how that one was chosen. We normally also take a trip to Washington, D.C. because that's the next year's theme, is learning about our nation. And that's when we have American government, American history. And so that's when we go to Washington, D.C. to learn more about the government. And that's when they would have like breakfast with the Nebraska delegation and things like that. And then the final trip is learning more about Native America. So the students select a tribe anywhere in the country that they want to learn more about. We had a teacher that was working here that is Sagoba, and so she has a lot of connections with the tribe. That's her tribe out there. And a lot of the kids wanted to learn more about that tribe, so that's why we picked California for that.
Thank you.
Eric?
Yes, good evening. This is Eric Armel. I'd like to say thank you for bringing this to our attention, bringing it to us to update us on where you've been. That we need list that you had up here a minute ago, is $200 gonna cover that for each student?
In the past, that's what's always worked. It seems to be kind of that sweet spot with where the students are able to get what they need. Some of those things they already have, but it would just be replacing some of, like if they have a lower pair, like a pair of shoes or something that they need to replace.
Okay, thank you.
Eric, I have a feeling that some chokers gonna have to cover to make up for what they don't have.
Some choker. I think I know him.
Yeah.
So, with that, Eric, were you looking at a different amount, or did you want to stay consistent with what's here?
No, I would, if that's gonna work, then I'd like to make a motion to approve that $7,000 for the WPS Academy student list. Is that what we're going by?
Yep.
Okay.
So
yes.
we have a motion by Eric Armel to approve the request at 36 students. So we've got 36 students on the list, but it said 35 in the presentation.
35. It's actually 35. Sorry.
So one of
I
these.
had added one extra student on accident.
So it is 35. Okay.
It is 35.
So 35 students for $7,000.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. Oh,
Okay. We have a second by Kenny. Discussion. I have one question, Ms. Pixler. In what way will the students, will their parents sign for these cards and take them, or what is the once the students receive the cards, what next? Or will they come down here? Do we give them to you and then you manage them? Can you tell us about what happens after the approval?
In the past, what we've done is we've had the parents come up to the school and sign for the cards, and then we release the card to the parent.
Okay, that sounds good. Is everybody okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do we have a motion and a second? Any further questions? Objection. Motion carried. Brian, are you voting? I don't see Brian's camera on. Is Brian still in the meeting?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Okay, 7-0-0. Okay, well, you guys have a nice trip. Stay safe, be smart, listen, be respectful. Remember that you're representative of the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, and we support you, we encourage you, and just please represent us well.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, and thank you to all the teachers and staff that are putting in all this extra love and care to get our kids to these new places. It's very exciting for them. That moves us into our donation request for Return of the Thunders Powwow. Council, you saw in the email, we had a request. One of our tribal members, Pernell Blackfish, is a member of the committee. And also we got an email from one of our directors, Louis St. Cyr, who's also involved in the committee. So we're really glad that our relatives are working and thinking of our urban Indian community who also need to have these teachings, these connections, and this kind of fellowship of our culture. So do we have any of those gentlemen on here to speak about this event? Okay. Hi, Pernell. Would you like to make some comments or talk about the Return of the Thunders Powwow? Unmute yourself, please.
Hello?
Yep, we can
you
hear
hear
you.
me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I was asked to be on a committee to represent the tribes that are here in Nebraska, and I was asked to be a part of this, and it came down to the funding, and first thing I thought of was the program that I'm under is the Ho Chunk Renaissance, and so I went ahead and I asked Louis St. Cyr if you would donate towards the Return of Thunders powwow. And he thankfully he forwarded the email to Lorelei and put me on the agenda for the mid-monthly meeting.
Thank you for one accepting to be on the committee. And so based on this letter from the committee, the Urban Native Center Powwow Committee volunteers, it says that there's funding needing, or additional funding needing for free supper meal to attendees, food items and cooks, water and prize money for the different age group of dancers, children's activities, entertainment, education, and possible giveaway items. I did confer with our treasurer to check our balances of our various donation accounts. Did you have something in mind, Pernell, that the unmet need or a number that you were hoping to receive? I guess, I mean, it's not a blank check. I'm just asking, what was the expectation?
One expectation was 1,200.
Okay. So
Do you guys kind of have a budget of, you know, what target number you're trying to hit? And I've seen a few Facebook posts on the different activities that they do, and they do a lot of them at the Legion Hall in South Sioux City. Is this the same group?
The Urban Native Center here in Sioux City, Iowa.
Oh, in Sioux City. Okay. I was confusing that with some of the members that have been meeting and doing these things and kind of on their own. So I'm mixing it up. So this is a different committee.
Yes.
Okay. So, but do you have a budget or your total need of this whole activity?
No, actually, they was asking 1,200 from each tribe, but that was the what would you say minimum of what we're asking for, just for the daily meals and possible giveaways and activities for the kids.
Mhm. So do we have a motion for a donation up to $1,200?
I'll make that motion to answer that donation request, $1,200.
And Eric, you want to pay that out of our donation, out of the council donation?
Yes, the council donation, that's where it'd be coming from.
Do we have a second? Or before, okay, well, in discussion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Coley. So for discussion, our treasurer does have our donation totals and always staying on top of what we have. Rona, can you read those to us?
Our balance in donations is $13,442, and that still needs to get us through the end of the year. We have events that we pay for different, help different departments, organizations, and whatever that come to us. We have $13,712 there. So we should have enough, but it's getting down there.
Thank you, Rona, for sharing that with us. I wanted to make sure that we had the balances of our funding pots so that when we ask council to make donations that they know where we're at with the budget. Rona did remind me that we're not quite through the fiscal year. So with that, we do have the funds to fund this, but I just want to make sure council knows what we have left as we will see more requests through the summer. So we have a motion and a second. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Thank you, council, and thank you, Purnell, for bringing it forward on behalf of your program. Okay. The next item that we have on here is annual ad for Winnebago Public School sports calendar. This is an annual sponsorship the council does. The vendor collects all the sponsorships, and then they provide the calendars, the pocket calendars, free to the school. That sponsorship is in the amount of $465. Do we have a motion for our annual
Move it,
ad?
Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Kenny. Do we have a second? Second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0.
Can you make Teresa so I can design it? Usually they just do like a stock template and stuff like that, but we want to get more mileage out of it.
Okay. So Garen just reminded me that we'd like to kind of put a more detailed design that's specific to the tribe than our logo. So Garen, do you need a motion for that, or do you just want that guidance?
No, I just need Teresa
Okay.
to give me that specs.
Okay. So are you guys okay? So Teresa will get the specs to Garen, and we will get that done. Any further discussion? Oh shoot, we already got the motion. Okay, we're good there. Moving on, we got Planning Department adopt resolution FY22 Winnebago Tribe Circula Section 128A Tribal Response Program. I believe the resolution would be 22-81. Joy, would you like to say anything about that?
This is our annual funding for the brownfields work, and they're looking at doing a couple assessments in this next year.
Thanks, Joy. Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 22-81?
Make that motion.
Madam Chair, the program director or the program manager is on. Can he say a few words? Joseph Painter.
Certainly. Hi, Joe. We have a motion. Do we have a motion? Oh, not yet. Okay. Hey, Joe, you want to make some comments, and then we'll call for the motion.
Yeah, if I can get off of mute here. I think Joy pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's pretty much an ongoing project, but we did put some assessments in there and possible remediation work for some of the sites that the land management program is looking at acquiring for next year, for the next fiscal year.
Oh, good work. Thank you for thinking ahead. Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 22-81?
So moved.
Okay, Louis got that one. Who wants a second? Second by Kenny. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Thank you, Joe, and thank you to your team. The next one we have is the FY22 EPA ARP Air Quality. Do we have someone to comment on that one?
Tori, this is Joy. This project is a new project. It's an exceptional one. Most of you know we're looking at moving, or they took down where the Met Station had been, where the child care center is going to go. And so as a part of finding that a new home, that we are looking at a new site that will allow us to have all new equipment to strengthen that program and take it on to the next level. And that's what this project is about.
Wonderful. Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 22-82? We have a motion by Rona. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Our next item is the girls' basketball request. We have a request that was sent to us, another one for the All West tournament happening in Denver this weekend. I believe it was a $1,400 match request. Do you guys have that? Do we have anyone from the team on tonight? It might have came in by email. It came in from Adania. Oh. Okay. Lorelai made copies for everybody. I've got this one.
It's $14.94 to match. The girls held a basketball tournament, and they got a $250 donation from HCI Farms, and so they raised $1,494. So they're requesting a match, and then they say that there's 12 players, so what they raise, including our match, will go to each of the players for their travel and eating and lodging.
Do you want me to ask that?
In Denver.
Okay, sounds good, Lorelai. The one question had come up. I should have asked offline. I'm sorry. We had one of the girls on the roster. We funded through a separate match. So, is that just is that between them and the team then?
I just know the team members, they put in for their request. They're a part of the tournament fundraising that are on the request.
Okay, so the other one, I guess I just won't worry about if they've turned in their own documents and they had kind of a separate fundraiser going on, I guess. I just want to make sure that I asked. Okay, is there a motion to approve the match of $1,494 for, what's the name of the girls' team? I don't want to.
Bomb Squad. Bagel Bomb Squad.
For the
So
bagel.
moved.
We have a motion by Louis. Do we have a second? Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Thank you, council. That brings us to our old business, and we have here the honoring of the water protectors. And Garen had previously sent us some email. There was some shirts that were ordered in the past, and our health educators were looking for a real positive way to use those. We have Earth Day coming up. I talked to Mona Zafante this morning, and she was really encouraging to her team, and they're going to be building some partnerships with the EPD. Garen has really been helpful in trying to bring us all up to speed on where we can be helpful with this. So it sounds like there's a flyer that's being drafted. There's more partnerships that are being gathered at this time. I want to thank the health department for supporting those t-shirts. It was also mentioned that perhaps down the line, once this whole activity is planned out for Earth Day, that perhaps they're being asked for admin leave. So I guess we'll stay tuned for that with Esther and the council and folks that want to participate. Garen, did you want to add anything about that?
No, I think I just updated with that flyer.
Okay. So keep your eyes peeled for the flyer. There's going to be a walk, t-shirts, and maybe some other Earth Day activities that will be a part of that. Okay, next item is Gaming Commission job description. Council, you may have seen on the email that the Gaming Commission jobs have been updated and approved. There was a question about some of the educational requirements. I had shared through email and with some of the council that the council had previously accepted prior experience and comparable experience to equate that 2-year associate's degree education component, and it's back on the agenda to reiterate that and look for guidance from the council. So, did anybody want to weigh in on that?
I think there was just a wrong job description that was pulled up and advertised.
So we pulled the old one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was an old one, so they just need to correct it, put the correct one in, and that has that.
Okay, so is everybody okay with finding the language that was passed by the council in past years, or do you want to make a motion that says add comparable experience accepted in lieu of education? You know, those are just two options. How you guys want to take care of it?
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
think we should be specific.
Okay.
Back to the motion from 2017. It's, you can have an associate's degree or equivalent experience.
Would that be preferred?
Well,
That's what it said in 2017 by motion.
so we're okay with using that one because that was the last one that we updated.
Yes, and isn't that what you thought too, Coley?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So if that's all our understanding and the motion has already been made in 2017, we can just communicate that to HR. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd agree.
All right. We don't need action for that then. Thank you everyone for your awareness on that. The next one is the mask mandate. Where's the to the membership and our employees and everyone who concerns themselves with this, as you know, the Winnebago tribe enforced the mask mandate on all our
Down a little
tribal
bit.
buildings, public buildings, and stores, as well as the casino at one time. As we've monitored the pandemic, we've called upon our public health expert, Mona Savante, and her team that have been monitoring the situation, as watching the CDC. Coley, who's on our health board, had brought this issue forward, and just based on some of the things that the guidance he's been seeing, and we reached out to Mona, and Mona, are you on the line? Well, Mona was able to do a survey and collect some data. She provided a recommendation to the tribal council, and it to me, the recommendation seemed to be like, based on what we can tell, it would be okay, but knowing that there are entities within town that would still be mandatory masks, like our healthcare facilities. Mona went through an introduction, she went through the results, she went through the methods of transmission, and the final recommendation would be conclusions. The WHPD recommends the indoor mask mandate be reconsidered and lifted, except as indicated in accordance with CDC guidelines. The resolution lifts the mask requirement in all areas except the following: where federally required, in congregate facilities such as correction facilities and homeless shelters, healthcare settings, people with symptoms, a positive test, or exposure to someone with COVID-19 should also stay at home. Schools and businesses can continue to require masks at their discretion. While masks for the general public are not required, there are times and people for whom they are recommended. CDC's masks use guidance provides additional information on when to wear masks and considerations for specific groups of people, such as those weakened immune systems or medical conditions that put them at risk for severe COVID-19. People may choose to continue to wear masks at any time. The WPHD can purchase and provide K95 for those community members who want them. If there is an increase in any of the 5 primary metrics including the following: vaccination coverage, transmission in the facility, transmission in the community, demographic and health-related characteristics, and facility structural and operational characteristics, the WPHD would reconsider the mandate at that time. So to summarize it, based on what Mona had researched and collected data on over that time frame last week, she was able to make a recommendation that if the council would consider lifting the mask mandate. Later this afternoon, I learned that we have some new variants that could be coming up in China, and so every day we learn something new in the news. So I just want to recognize Coley because he's the one that kind of thought like maybe we should be looking at this. So much has changed since we put this in place. And Coley, did you have any comments or anything you wanted to add?
No, I just follow pretty much what Mona stated, and I would be willing to lift the tribe's mask mandate, but again, you know that you are more than welcome to wear your mask at work, and because it ain't over yet. We just seen the news today. There's a new variant out, new name for it, so um, um, don't know how many times we all been reinfected, you know, or we've been sick. So I mean, I believe the shots are working and stuff, and the reinfection isn't. You're not getting as sick. So I'd be willing to make that motion whenever we're done. Conversation. Thanks.
I second his motion.
Okay, so well, let's go in discussion then, because he made a motion. We have a motion on the floor. Did you put a motion on the floor?
Yeah, I'll make the
Okay.
motion.
So there's a motion on the floor. Kenny seconded it. So discussion is open, and does someone have Rona has a comment?
I mean, in lifting the mask mandate, you know, I'm for it. You know, just some of the recommendations that I think, I don't know how it's possible or anything, you know, that those unvaccinated are required to. I don't know how we can get around that or whatever. But it's lifting the mask mandate will boost business within the community. You know, we just do have to be very careful of, you know, our elders and those sickly people that, you know, who are more susceptible to this disease, that I would recommend, you know, putting signage up, you know. Although the mask mandate is lifted, you know, it is still high. We still highly recommend to wear masks. It's not required, but we recommend for safety of those who cannot be vaccinated and such. So I don't know how you want to word that, but I mean that's just one of my recommendations is, you know, signage.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Lorelai.
Madam Chair, I've sent an email to the council and to our tribal administration today. I have some very major concerns with this. In the news, they told us that it started in Europe and it got here, but when they came out with the Omicron variant, it was in Europe and then it was here the following week. And now they have a variant coming off of the Omicron, and it's called BA2. And it's even more transmissible than the Omicron. But it doesn't cause, it's not causing hospitalizations or death because of our vaccinations. So I just am aware that they've already started seeing rises in cases in the state of Georgia with this BA2. So there's that. But my concern is our little ones that cannot be vaccinated if they're not 5. And there's no vaccine for them. The 5 on up can be vaccinated and the older ones can be boosted, but not the little ones under age 5. And right now in our community, the only protection they have is the rest of us are wearing masks and we're not spreading it to them. So they can't get vaccinated. And I worry about them if we lift this mask mandate and they're not vaccinated. And if we get sickness amongst, God forbid, amongst our little ones, our babies. So the only protection they have right now, since they can't be vaccinated, is the rest of us wearing masks indoors. So that concerns me about lifting it. And I wish we would wait to lift a mask mandate until after our little ones could get vaccinated, the babies. I went to a tournament this weekend, and when I walked in the door, I almost fell over. It was at the Blackhawk Center. I was the only one in there wearing a mask. So I don't know, having the mask mandate, how enforceable it is. That's another aspect of this. And then, so if somebody has a, at-risk people in their family, and if they're not wearing masks, then, how real is a mask mandate? And then I'm concerned about if we lift the mask mandate, then what's going to happen to our tribal members that have employment as security, COVID security in our tribal buildings? Do they lose their job? So our assistant physical resources director said that while they're still working, they can still be working on sanitizing or, cleaning our buildings, or fogging or something like that, because they depend on their jobs as COVID security to feed their families. And so I don't want them to lose their job if we lift the mask mandate. So these are just some concerns I have that I raised today. My main one is our little ones under the age of 5 that can't be vaccinated. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorelei, for your comments. I know we've said it many times, but I always count on Lorelei as our trained RN, and as a registered nurse, I definitely take her feedback to heart. So Lorelei, thank you for looking into that, and I did see Autumn's response too, that they would find other duties that were COVID related to keep those workers on staff. Do we have any further comments or questions maybe about Mona's report?
I got a comment. As Councilwoman Steeler said that we recommend the use of masks. The CDC dropped all the safety preventions, and so I don't think we'd be out of line dropping the mask mandate. And as far as the jobs go, those were created for the pandemic, and according to the CDC, the pandemic's pretty much gone right now. I know there's new variants out there, the BA2. There's another one out there as well, besides that one. And these vaccinations and boosters, they've been pushed pretty hard, and I think to some point we have to believe in those. And we do have a high vaccination percentage within our community. And up to this point, a lot of our children have been resilient, along with a lot of our enrolled members that have had COVID-19, and then they got the shots, and they got it again. And if they didn't get the shots or the boosters, they'd get it again. And yeah, they did go through some hard times, but majority of our enrolled membership pulled through. And I think that's a good thing, because that shows the body's their immune system really kicked in, and they have the natural antibodies to the COVID-19. And so I think that's really something special for our people that have caught COVID. So I'm in agreement with removing the mask mandate, just because we've shown perseverance for all of our enrolled members that have got COVID-19 and haven't gotten the shots. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Any more thoughts or comments on the motion on the floor?
I'm going to vote for it, but I have a feeling of what's going to happen to the people up front that were working all this time. I just hate to see someone go down. And I know life has its ups and downs, but I just sometimes one decision causes a negative effect in another situation. I think if we really strive to find them something in the community or with the tribe, I would go to sleep much better tonight.
Thank you, Kenny, for thinking of those employees, and also Lorelai had sent an email out about the COVID security, and Irita, Autumn, who's our supervisor, let us know that there are other functions that they could perform under those allowable activities.
Okay.
So that sounded like they were gonna keep their job even with or without the mask mandate.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say is, as long as the money's there, they should, and the duties that are assigned to them, they should be allowed to still be paid through ARPA. But when they came on, they knew it was a temporary, along with the grant, the monies that we received.
Okay.
So, Autumn's gonna find them something that fall within lines of the ARPA requirements.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel better.
Would anybody else like to make a comment before we call for the question? Cole.
One closing comment. I do, I too weary about this when you talk about children. I'm gonna be pissed off if something like this does come back around the way it's going now and affects our children, my grandchildren. But seeing what I've seen all winter long, as Lorelai stated, you went into our gymnasium, but when you go to Sioux City, to those gymnasiums, the arena, Cinos, Heelan, whatever, East, wherever our kids play, South Sioux City, there's no mask at all. It's been like that all winter, and we've been up there, we're up there, our families are up there, and stuff, so the shots are working, and reinfections ain't so bad, and so at least we can give it a try. Thanks.
Okay, we do have our CEO of the WCHS on the line. We're trying to unmute. Do you see Danelle anywhere on the line, or a phone number?
She was on there earlier, but I haven't since. Yeah.
Okay. So she wants to comment. So before I call for the question, I just want to hear from her on behalf of the report we received.
Can she jump out? Jump back in?
Can you try again, Danelle? I'm on the phone only. She said she's on the phone only.
Can she try to unmute?
Can you unmute?
I don't see her.
He doesn't see you. Nine 222-2637 is who she is.
She's not popping up.
How about I just call you, Danelle, and I'll put you on speaker.
There you go.
I'm just gonna call you. Danelle?
Yep.
Okay, I
Can you
got
hear
you.
me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, sorry about that. I switched devices and I think it would not let me connect properly. So I just wanted to say that, just to mention that the tribe lifting the mask mandate will not impact the mask requirement at the hospital. So under the CDC guidance, healthcare facilities are still required to have masks. And so our policy right now is still going to change throughout the hospital, inpatient care areas, as well as in non-patient care areas. So we're continuing to evaluate that, but our requirement right now will not change with this. So we will be falling in with one of the exceptions.
Okay. Yeah, did you hear me read those exceptions that were in the report? There was a few of them. Okay. But just to reiterate, in Mona's recommendation, she does outline the facilities within our reservation that this would not apply to, including the hospital. I think the YCIC. I think those are the only two that would apply to. Is that correct, Danelle?
Yeah, I think Head Start also has its own requirements as well that Educare is following.
Okay. So it sounds like, as listed in the report, there are a few entities that this would not apply to. This is broadly the stores, the community, the tribal buildings. Okay, I'm gonna.
And then And then to address the comment that Lorelei made as well, I think the important thing for everybody to keep in mind is that the mask mandate could be reinstated at any time if the council chose to, based on increased cases.
Thank you, Danelle. I think that really gives the council a level of comfort that based on the data we have now, the recommendation has been made to lift it. So,
Yes, that was all. Thank you.
thanks, Danelle. I'm gonna hang up then because I got.
I'm gonna vote on
Okay.
keeping the mask mandate.
Okay. I'm gonna call for the
I think we
question.
gotta-
Louis, do you want to object then?
Yeah,
Okay.
I object too.
Okay. I'm gonna call for the question. All those in favor of the motion to lift the mask mandate based on the recommendation from the Winnebago Public Health Department. All those in favor, please say aye or signify by raising your hand.
Aye.
Rona, Kenny,
Aye.
Brian, Coley, Eric. No. Opposed. Lorelei, Louis. Abstentions. 0. Motion carried 5-0. Okay, we will continue to monitor that in partnership with our public health department and healthcare professionals. Our next.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before we leave this subject, I don't know if we need a motion, but can we direct the administration to do the signage as was stated or suggested, that it is still highly recommended that you wear it, which it's not required?
Yes. So can we have a motion to that effect?
I'll move that.
Moved by Brian. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ladies, Rona, and that motion is for signage and language as indicated. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion? Motion carried 7-0. Thank you, Brian. That brings us to our tribal council items. The first one, University of Wisconsin Law School. Council, you may have seen an email I forwarded to you some time ago. I had gotten a phone call, and Vice Chair Chamberlain may have gotten a similar phone call. There's some Native students at the University of Wisconsin Law School that are looking to have the tribal flags displayed in their law school, and there was some there was some dialogue and maybe a little opposition by some of the folks at the law school on having Nebraska's flag there, and the Ho-Chunk law students at this university educated them and told them that we are in fact originally from Wisconsin and that it was appropriate and historically a homecoming to have our flag there, and so that it would be symbolic that we were included. So I just wanted to put that on the council's radar, that it's November, tentatively they're planning for November 4th. It's a Friday. It would require council to travel and a delegation to attend that and be a part of that programming. So we don't have to have a motion now, but I have it on the council's calendar, and when we have more details, I can share those and get some approvals. Also, I had asked them about the dimensions of the flag so that we can work with our team to get the right dimensions in advance of this event. The next item is resolution in support of the Truth in Healing Commission Indian Boarding School Policies in the U.S. Act, H.R. 544 and the Senate Companion Bill S 2907. Council, you may have seen the email that was asking the Winnebago tribe to send a letter of support for those bills. Do we have a motion or a resolution to that effect?
I'd like to make a motion to
Okay.
do the letters.
Okay, we have a motion by Eric to
second,
send letters. Would you like to do a resolution as well? We can.
Yes, that's correct.
A letter and a resolution in support of the Truth in Healing Commission Indian Boarding School Policy. It's seconded by Louis. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried. We got Coley out, so I'm do 6-0-0. Okay, the next one is a night of cultural cuisine Council, the South Sioux City, the Siouxland Community Health Foundation is hosting its annual dinner and silent auction, and we're really happy to report that there's a special presentation posthumously honoring Frank Lemire. Frank will be the recipient of the 2022 George Boykin Good Citizen Award recipient. We're really thankful that they're honoring Frank, and part of that, I'm asking the council to attend that event. We would have to purchase a table, and I'm also asking council to authorize the donation of an item to be auctioned. At the back of the room, you can see some of the items we had in our stock. There's a couple painted turtle shells. There's a wall medallion. There's a Pendleton. There's a fuzzy blanket, and there's a shawl. So if the council in another time can decide of that what we want to donate. But is there a motion for us to purchase tables and donate?
So moved.
We have a motion by Louis. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Eric. Discussion.
I'm not
I
gonna.
think we ought to do a resolution of support, but in the resolution, also honor George Boykin. Kenny and I worked with him on construction over 50 years ago when we handled paving forms, and George Boykin was a peddler. And his family has been good to Indian people, serving on the boards that he does. So we should honor him, along with Frank.
Thank you, Louis. I would love to do that. Would you like to make that part of your motion? And I can work with you on what we want to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Eric?
Yes, I was just wondering if we'd need to put the price of the table in there as well.
The price is $800 per table because it's $100 per guest, and so I haven't gotten the full amount because I don't know who would like to go and if they're going to bring their significant other. So I had estimated that we would be the maximum of 2 tables.
Okay.
So we can note that in there. So, any further discussion? And I guess I want to thank Louis for. Well, Kenny had a comment, but I want to thank Louis for bringing that to our attention because when it was hard for our people, we had to call on friends. So it sounds like this gentleman was a good friend to our tribe. So thank you, Louis, for saying that, and we'll get it done. Kenny had a comment.
I'm not gonna vote on it because I was asked if no one else were interested to be there on behalf of the council and present to something to a donation for Frank Lemire. In other words, I was asked to be involved in it, and so I really don't want to vote on it.
Okay. So,
But I would be willing if the vote was positive.
No problem. Okay. So
I'll vote for you.
call for the question. Objection to the motion. Abstain. Did you want to abstain, Kenny? Abstain. Okay, so we got all those in favor of the motion, please say aye or signify by raising your hand.
Aye.
We have Rona.
Aye, Brian votes yes.
We have Rona, Brian, Eric. Coley, did you want to vote? Are you voting yes, no?
Which one?
This is for the Frank Lemire dinner.
Number
the one
3?
I asked you about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Coley. No. Opposed. Abstentions.
Abstain.
1 abstention. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 or 5, 1. Motion carried. What is that gato vote? That cat,
It's 6.
Louis?
It's 6.
6.
Yes.
600.
LD, Brian, Rona, Eric, Louis, and Coley.
7 with the cat.
Yeah, and who's
Okay.
the cat?
Ask Louis.
I just got a cat scan.
Okay, 601 abstain.
601. Cat scan's going on up there.
Well, at least it's not fighting him today.
Yeah. Oh, that cat was Okay, thank
but
you,
I was a
Council.
bit quiet last week.
He did. Kind of scuffed you up, Louis. Okay, thank you, Council, and thank you to all those that are honoring the late Frank Lemire. Looking forward to it. Housing discussion. Coley, we covered a little bit of this earlier. I've been talking offline with Coley. All the time we have tribal members come in that either need a place to stay or, having a hardship. And I just really been thinking about this, been talking to Coley about it. And so Coley had an idea that we should do a survey and we should figure out where the gaps are in our housing. And because right now, Ho Chunk Inc.'s doing all the good things they're doing with the down payment assistance and the home ownership. We have these other programs over here serving our relatives, and we have a gap in those services because we don't have enough places to stay. Sometimes people aren't eligible for a variety of reasons. So we just wanted to collect some information from our membership and ask them what they're needing and where they're seeing maybe where they're not eligible to live certain places, and what we could do to be thinking about when we have the resources, or if we were to draw upon existing resources, how we could get that done for the people. And knowing that we look at these housing lists, I mentioned the HCCDC board meeting, and I had these waiting lists, and I thought, man, I want to see tribal housing's waiting list. I want to see WHDC's waiting list. I just want to see what it looks like so the council could say, man, we're not doing enough. So that's where I'm going with that, and really thank Coley for the encouragement to do a survey. So Eric, do you have a comment?
Yes, I think one thing I'd like to see would be a monthly or every other month waiting list on that for that housing, because over these years it seems like a lot of people just would cut in line, or due to housing sizes they would get switched around, or however it may be, that we have a lot of enrolled members on that housing list. They've been on there for a long time, and it just seems like they just keep getting cut back. And so I think I would like to start seeing a list every few months that would come to the council, so that way we would actually be able to watch that list and keep track of that. Not that we're trying to micromanage or anything, but just to observe it, and that would even be for the public. I think that would really help the public, so the public would be able to see where they are at, because they're the ones that are in need and on that list. And so, if it came to the council, or a public posting of the top 50 or the top 100, something, anything like that, just so we can all gauge on how it's being moved about. Because I know we have a lot of enrolled members that live off the reservation and even live out of state that are trying to come home, and they're just having troubles with that. So that's just kind of something I would like to see for not only the council but for the community to be able to watch and monitor as well. So shed a little bit of new light on how that's moving. Thank you.
Sounds good. And to add to Aaron's point before we go to Rona, I think it'll help build understanding for everybody, because certain entities have certain rules, and maybe that tribal member needs to update their application every 6 months. And then the more that we all know that, like we're like, okay, did you update your application? Go update your application. Just ways that we could help them move it along. So we just been thinking about this a lot, and we're thankful for what we have. It's just looking at the lay of the land. So Rona.
Oh, yeah, that was gonna be one of my suggestions. Is you were talking about a survey, and I know WHDC, they put on the winter gathering every year, and they do a survey, and they and that's what they get in. They get their little raffle. They get a little So a lot of people like to get into that raffle to win different door prizes and stuff like that, and so they fill out that survey. So from that, we're talking about housing issues, the shortages, and what each program offers. So I would suggest that we call on HCCDC, Ho Chunk Capital, WHDC, Tribal Housing, all meet together and look at all their program requirements and lists together to see where that gap is, and come up with a new survey. Also share what the current survey that's out there that they do every year, and see if we can change that up a little bit, and how can we get more participants to really get a bigger picture of what's needed in the community. But I think we need to get all the entities, all the housing entities together and discuss some of this. I don't know if they still do that, or I know they did before, but get that going again so that they can work together in finding out where the gap is.
Okay, so I wrote those entities down, and so maybe they already meet, and maybe we just invite ourselves to their meeting.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, going around the room. So Kenny's got something, then I'll go to our remote satellite sites, A.
I guess what I'd like to see is these 28 or 32 vacant lots be cleared out and homes put on them. Most of them have the infrastructure, just the surface part is all burned up or whatever, torn down. And there's about 37 of them. And I'd like to see, and I would be one to push HCI to take those sites and develop a house at each one of them. A lot of the times the issue is going through the county assessor's office and all of these government places. And I would just, as a tribe, put in place eminent domain means you can take them for structural or whatever kind of purposes you want. It wouldn't take much. You know, a home could be, and I'm not pushing HCI all the way, but they can bring a home down here and set it in location within a month. It may take a year, which I'm sorry to say, to get the land clearance to buy them. And then either the tribe or HCI or housing, one of them take over the running them.
One good thing before I forget, the housing, our housing, what does HAF stand for again? The Housing Assistance Fund, which was an ARP project that recently got approved, and HCCD is facilitating it. One of the things that they can do is pay for the taxes for some of these families that maybe have arrears on their plot or here and there. So I sent you guys the HCCDC board notes, so I'm gonna push that out again, and maybe we need to put that on the community or work with the HCCDC, because sometimes I don't think people know about these. So we could help those people.
Remember part of some of the funds that we did receive, Fanny and the ladies up there with tribal housing are looking at buying some of these vacant lots from the tribal members, and we approved up to 5,000 each lot. So they're working on some of the people that own these vacant lots, either their house is condemned or it's totally burned down or whatever, but they're starting to look at it, and we already approved for them to be able to offer up to a certain amount to start buying these lots.
And I appreciate what you're saying, but that's been said like
Just a
8
couple months
times over the last 11 years. Like the one up next to the halfway house or the alcohol program. Years ago when I was a director, I wanted the tribe to buy that so we could develop a halfway house there. And there were only a few people left, and they just didn't want to disturb it. That's all they said. That was about 17 years ago. I think them few people might not be around no more, but that's no excuse not to try it again and see if we can take it by eminent domain. When you do that, you still can pay the people for the fact that they lost it by force, but at least give them something for it.
Do you want to let Fanny know see if that's on her list? Maybe that one might already be on her list that you're talking about. The property you're talking about might already be on her list. Fanny at Land Department. We could see if she already has it on her list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she has a list of properties that they're looking at to take over.
So we could ask her if those are the ones you're thinking of.
Do they have a list up there of the properties that are
Mhm.
vacant all around?
Yeah, because we've kind of talked about this a couple times with Isaac and training Burns for the fire department. We've talked about getting asbestos testing for some of these, so we kind of know which ones.
Just within the last year.
But let us know which one you're thinking of, so make sure it's on the list.
I think asbestos is the biggest stopper that we have right now in our community, just due to the age of the houses or the living facilities.
Yep. Okay. So let me call on Lorelei, and so they can make their comment about the discussion, because we're getting into a little bit new terrain. So Lorelei, back to you about this housing survey, getting our entities together to figure out, where we can learn more from them, that kind of stuff. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, Madam Chair, back in 2015, I did a community health assessment on the whole tribe. And one whole section was on housing. And I went to every housing entity on the reservation, got number of units, how many are occupied, how many are empty and why, and how many are on their waiting list. And I think that's what we need to get done. So who's the person that we direct to do that? I mean, they can go by what I did, starting from 2015 and even compare what has improved since 2015. But somebody needs to stay on top of this as a part of their workload.
We do
And
have,
working with the housing entities, because the council hears about stuff and then we have great ideas and then nobody follows up. And there's nobody designated to follow up. So this is such an important issue for our tribe that who are we going to assign to work on this assessment? And that's after all that's collected, then get all the entities together and we go over where we found the gaps. That's just a suggestion so that it's not hit and miss, that we actually, I don't know, do we assign planning?
well, that was my suggestion, is we do have a data center, but I don't know that that position may be vacant, but I do know that Joy and Brittany are working hard to fulfill those tasks. So if we call upon them, I think that they would be willing to see if they could help us out.
Okay, and then on the second item about the old abandoned sites in the community, we've been told by the fire department that they have to be tested for asbestos before they can be demolished. And we have to find the money. How are we going to test these different abandoned home sites on the reservation to test them before anybody can demolish them?
Yep.
So that's just something that when we're talking about demolishing home sites, we got to understand there could be asbestos and you can't just demolish it safely. It's a hazard to the public health. So just something I thought I'd bring up. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorelai. And you guys are really on it tonight. Coley just had a comment. He said in that assessment that Brownsfield's going to do, that maybe we could be a part of that assessment and mitigation if we let Joe know those sites. So we're kind of connecting the dots tonight. Okay, Louis.
I have two concepts to deal with. We got to find out whether the housing list is a public record. I think we have to keep it confidential. We can't name those people, but we can get a clarification from the attorney for the housing to make sure we're not violating federal law. Good idea. But the concept of having that list is pretty controversial. Some people have been on there for a long time. You can't get in. So it's a hard one to deal with. The other question is about eminent domain. We would be in a quandary if we dealt with eminent domain on fee land. Now we're going to develop an eminent domain for both fee land and trust land. Because I don't think there's much trust land in the village. So we have to deal with that. But the village, we got to find out if they have eminent domain. Because the housing started when the tribe would not take money from HUD to build homes. And the village wanted homes. So they worked out an agreement between the tribe and the village to have the first housing authority. It was a cooperative effort that got housing going in Winnebago. I was on that board, and I did not realize that so many of the lots in town were owned by white people and churches. They were ripping off the Indian people. They take the money, they wouldn't put any money back into the house. They kept it. They were run down and dilapidated. And we started buying back those houses from white landowners. But we need to check to see if this issue of eminent domain and get it right, so that the tribe is in control. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis, for sharing that with us. I wrote those both down to follow up on as questions. And with the housing list question, I was thinking maybe if we don't have the names, if they just say, I have a list for 3 1-bedrooms, 5 2-bedrooms, and so we can talk about how we protect that information. I will put that on my list. Any further comments on this housing, or do we have a motion to pull together, direct our planning department and data center to work with our housing entities to develop this survey? Rona, is that kind of where you're thinking? Okay. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Okay. We have a motion by Louis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric.
Comment.
Coley, discussion.
We do have a work group, a housing work group assignments. That's myself. It was John, Snowball, Louis, Eric, and yourself, Victoria. So we need to get an updated list for that. Whoever took John's, if we replaced him. Oh, Kenny did.
I was thinking, I got out of this one, and then you said my name. Okay. So I think we could task the work group, and we can be responsible, but we can invite everybody. Does that sound good? I mean, if we put ourselves in charge of the follow-up. Okay, thanks for that reminder. So, Louis, are you okay with including the tribal council work group to also?
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote yes for this, but I have to step away.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Louis, did you say you're okay with we include the tribal council work group in this endeavor?
Yes, I'm okay.
Eric, are you okay with that?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can you read the motion back?
The motion by Louis to direct our planning department via the data center to develop a survey in partnership with our housing entities that include HCCDC, Ho Chunk Capital, and our Winnebago Tribal Housing Entity. And WHDC. Did I say that? No. Oh, WHDC to develop a survey on housing.
There's four entities. Okay.
And another thing I think we'd want to be looking at is if we're going to integrate Brownsfield into this asbestos check for the housing, to see if Brownsfield will be able to alleviate some of that financial problems.
So if we can, because I know Isaac had a full list last time we talked fire, we can get with Isaac, see if that's the same list that Kenny and Fanny might be thinking of, and bring that together. Any further discussion?
Where's her office at?
Up at the old Human Services building, up behind the youth shelter.
Okay.
So call for the question. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Brian let us know that he was voting yes. That brings us to our 5th item, added item. We had a request from Aria Ghostdog. As you know, from the letter, Aria has completed her requirements with her high school diploma. Per the policy with enrollment, she got a notarized letter from the superintendent, which is Dan Farringer, that indicates that she's completed all her requirements, and what this young lady is looking for is support and a special accommodation to release her minor trust fund money. Aria will be traveling to Denver with her team and is looking to access some of her money for her trip in addition to what they've fundraised. I checked with finance, and logistically this is doable because they input and enter these in advance of the 15th and the 30th. And so Aria was already on track to get her money on the 30th. She's just asking for it a few days early, 8 days earlier. So, yes, yes. So the balance.
I move to comply with the request.
Um,
Is it Means or Ghost Dog?
it's
Because she's on a basketball list as Means, and then
so
She's means.
she's means. Okay. It just says ghost dog in parentheses. That's okay. So she's means.
Okay.
We have a motion to comply with the request
Second.
by Louis. We have a second by Eric. Any further discussion? Just the final point that finance is good with it, and I checked with Cheryl.
okay.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I must abstain. It's my granddaughter.
Okay. We have one. Okay. So call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or signify by raising your hand. We have Rona,
Aye.
Kenny,
All right.
Louis, Coley, Eric. No. Abstentions. 1. So we've got 5-0-1. Motion carried. Thank you, council. I believe there was one item in executive session. We did not receive paperwork, but Eric has called for executive session. Do we have are we gonna need a link, Eric, or is it internal?
It'll be internal.
Okay.
Just discussion.
So it sounds like for the membership, we are going to go into executive session for a discussion, and from there we will adjourn. Will you require action, Eric?
No, there shouldn't be any actions.
No action required, so we will adjourn out of executive session. Thank you, everyone, for your kind attention tonight, and wish you a good evening.
Question.
Yes, sir.